Part 13. Alien Counteroffensive. The Gathering Storm. The Republic's intelligence network screamed with warnings. The aliens were preparing a massive counteroffensive. Fleets larger than anything humanity had faced were converging on the border worlds. If they broke through, the Republic itself would fall. The Council summoned Kale Draven and Orion Vera. Their orders were clear. Lead their regiments into the heart of the storm, hold the line, and turn the tide. Kale's jaw tightened as he read the orders. This is the war that will define us. Orion's eyes burned with determination. And we'll face it together. Preparing the regiments. Kale drilled the Iron Fang Regiment with relentless precision. Shields locked, artillery calibrated, every maneuver rehearsed until perfection. His soldiers moved like a machine, ready to hold the line against impossible odds. Orion unleashed the Stormbreakers, their fury honed into chaos. He encouraged their unpredictability, their daring raids, their reckless courage. His fighters thrived in the storm, ready to tear through alien lines. Together, the two regiments became the Republic's spear and shield. Order and chaos, precision and fury, united for the first time. The Battle of Arinder. The alien fleets descended on the frontier world of Arinder, their war machines blotting out the skies. Kale and Orion stood side by side at the command post, their voices carrying across the battlefield. Hold formation. Kale commanded, his voice steady. Break their lines. Orion shouted, his fury burning. The battle erupted. Kale's regiment held the line, shields locking, artillery firing in rhythm. Orion's fighters surged forward, striking from unexpected angles, scattering enemy formations. At first, the aliens pressed hard, their weapons tearing through defenses. But Kale's precision created openings, and Orion's chaos exploited them. Together, they turned the tide. The fortress of Arinder fell. The Republic cheered. And for the first time, Kale and Orion stood side by side in victory, not just as rivals, but as partners. Broadcast across the Republic. The Republic broadcasted the battle live, citizens watching in awe as Kale and Orion fought side by side. Their names trended across the networks, their faces plastered across every screen. Children reenacted their battles in playgrounds. Adults debated their strategies in forums. The Republic hailed them as heroes, legends, icons. But in the quiet of the night, Kale and Orion knew the truth. Their bond was more than rivalry, more than comradeship. It was love. And it was the Republic's greatest weapon. Closing scene of Part 13. As the sun set over Arinder, the battlefield smoldering in ruins, Kale and Orion stood together, their regiments cheering behind them. The Republic hailed them as heroes, their faces broadcast across every channel. And though the war was far from over, they both knew, together, they could face anything. Part 14. The Turning Point. The Alien Superweapon. Republic intelligence revealed the enemy's trump card, a colossal war engine known as the Oblivion Core, capable of destroying entire cities with a single strike. It was more than a weapon, it was a symbol of alien dominance. If it reached the Republic's heart worlds, humanity would fall. The Council summoned Kale and Orion. Their orders were clear. Lead their regiments into battle, destroy the Oblivion Core, and save the Republic. Kale's jaw tightened. This is the war that will define us. Orion's eyes burned. And we'll face it together. Preparing for the impossible. Kale drilled the Iron Fang Regiment with relentless precision. Every maneuver was rehearsed, every weapon calibrated. His soldiers moved like a machine, ready to hold the line against impossible odds. Orion unleashed the Stormbreakers, their fury honed into chaos. He encouraged their unpredictability, their daring raids, their reckless courage. His fighters thrived in the storm, ready to tear through alien lines. Together, they forged a plan. Kale's regiment would anchor the battlefield, holding the enemy at bay, while Orion's fighters struck deep into the heart of the Oblivion Core. The Battle of the Core. The battlefield erupted as the Oblivion Core descended, its weapons shrieking, its armor gleaming. Kale's regiment locked shields, artillery firing in rhythm, their discipline holding the line. Orion's fighters surged forward, striking from unexpected angles, their fury scattering enemy formations. The Corps unleashed its power, annihilating entire squads in a single blast. Kale's soldiers faltered, but his voice carried across the battlefield. "Hold the line." Orion's fighters reeled, but his fury drove them forward. "Break their defenses." Together, they pressed on. Kale's precision created openings. Orion's chaos exploited them. Slowly, impossibly, they turned the tide. The final strike. As the battle reached its climax, Kale and Orion fought side by side, their blades flashing, their voices carrying across the storm. "We end this now," Kale shouted. "Together," Orion replied. They surged forward, striking at the Corps' heart. Their regiments followed, their fury and discipline united. The Corps shuddered, its weapons faltering, its armor cracking. With one final strike, Kale and Orion destroyed the Oblivion Corps. The battlefield erupted in cheers. The Republic was saved. Closing scene of Part 14. As the sun set over the battlefield, the ruins of the Oblivion Corps smoldering in the dust, Kale and Orion stood together, their regiments cheering behind them. The Republic broadcasted their victory across every channel, citizens marveling at the sight of the two legends united. And though the war was far from over, they both knew this was the turning point. Together, they could face anything. Part 15. Victory Broadcast. The Republic watches. The destruction of the Oblivion Corps was too monumental to remain hidden. The Republic's networks broadcasted the battle in real time, every strike, every maneuver, every moment of Kale and Orion fighting side by side. Citizens across the stars watched in awe as the two S+ Alphas led their regiments to victory. Children cheered in playgrounds, mimicking their moves. Adults debated their strategies in forums. Merchants sold badges and posters bearing their likenesses. The Republic had found its heroes, and their names were Kale Draven and Orion Vera. Legends on screen. Kale stood before the cameras, his uniform crisp, his voice steady. "We fought as one. Discipline held the line. Courage broke the enemy. Together, we prevailed." Orion followed, his gaze sharp, his words fierce. "We faced annihilation. We stood against it. And we won. Not as rivals, but as brothers in arms." The broadcasts replayed their speeches endlessly, their faces plastered across every screen. For the first time, the Republic began to see them not as competitors, but as partners. Private reflection. Behind the cameras, Kale and Orion stood together, their hands brushing in silence. The Republic saw heroes. But in the quiet moments, they knew the truth. Their bond was deeper than rivalry, deeper than comradeship. Kale whispered, "They'll never understand what we are." Orion's lips curled faintly. "Then let them see only what they can. The rest is ours." The Republic responds. The broadcasts ignited a frenzy. Citizens hailed them as saviors, their names trending across every channel. Analysts debated their strategies, commentators praised their unity, and the council celebrated their victory. But beneath the praise, whispers grew. Two alphas, fighting side by side closer than tradition allowed. The Republic was not ready for the truth. Not yet. Closing scene of Part 15. As the sun set over the Republic, Kale and Orion stood together, their regiments cheering behind them. The broadcasts hailed them as heroes, their faces immortalized across the stars. And though the Republic saw only legends, Kale and Orion knew their bond was more than victory. It was love. Part 16. Public Revelation. The decision. The war against the aliens had reached a temporary lull. For the first time in years, Kale and Orion stood not on a battlefield, but before the Republic Council. Their victories had made them legends, their names immortalized across the stars. Yet their secret weighed heavier than any weapon. Kale's jaw tightened as he looked at Orion. "We can't hide forever." Orion's gaze burned with resolve. "If we fight for the Republic, we fight for ourselves too." Together, they made the decision. The truth would be revealed. The announcement. The council chamber was filled with officials, soldiers, and citizens, all eager to hear from the Republic's greatest heroes. Cameras broadcasted the event live, their faces streaming across every world. Kale stepped forward, his voice steady. "We have fought side by side. We have saved each other's lives. We have led our regiments to victory. And through it all, we have discovered something greater than rivalry." Orion followed, his words fierce. "We are not just comrades. We are not just captains. We are partners. We are lovers. And we will not hide it any longer." The chamber fell silent. Across the Republic, millions watched in shock. Two alphas, both S+, both heroes, together as one. The reaction. The Republic erupted. Some cheered, hailing them as symbols of courage and change. Others recoiled, bound by tradition, unable to accept an alpha union. Debates raged across networks. Analysts dissected their announcement. Citizens argued in forums and marketplaces. But no matter the reaction, one truth remained. Kale and Orion had spoken openly, defying centuries of expectation. Private resolve. Behind the cameras, Kale and Orion stood together, their hands intertwined. The Republic saw heroes, rivals, icons. But in the quiet moments, they knew the truth. They were more than that. Kale whispered, "Whatever comes, we face it together." Orion's lips curled faintly. "Always." Closing scene of Part 16. As the sun set over the Republic, Kale and Orion stood side by side, their regiments cheering behind them. The broadcasts hailed them as heroes, their faces immortalized across the stars. And though the Republic was divided, Kale and Orion knew their love was stronger than tradition. Part 17. Resistance and Acceptance. The Backlash. The announcement sent shockwaves across the Republic. Traditionalists condemned it, claiming an alpha union was unnatural, a threat to the social order. Soldiers whispered in barracks, citizens debated in marketplaces, and the council itself fractured. Kale received messages from his father, sharp and cold. "You have dishonored our legacy." Orion received silence, the absence of approval cutting deeper than any blade. The networks buzzed with controversy. Analysts dissected their relationship, commentators argued endlessly, and citizens took sides. For the first time, Kale and Orion were not just heroes. They were symbols of rebellion. The support. Yet amid the backlash, voices of support rose. Younger citizens hailed them as pioneers, proof that tradition could be broken. Soldiers admired their courage, their willingness to defy expectation. Families who had long felt constrained by rigid norms found hope in their union. Children wore badges not just of their battles, but of their bond. Artists painted murals of them standing together, blades raised, hands intertwined. The Republic was divided, but change had begun. Private struggles. Kale sat alone in his quarters, staring at the message from his father. His jaw tightened. "I will not apologize for loving him." Orion trained in silence, his blade flashing through the air. His soldiers admired his ferocity, but inside, his thoughts churned. "We fight for survival. We fight for love. And we will not yield." Together, they faced the storm. Together, they carried the weight of expectation. Standing firm. At the next council session, Kale and Orion stood side by side, their voices steady. Kale spoke first. "We are alphas. We are warriors. We are leaders. And we are partners. Nothing will change that." Orion followed, his words fierce. "We fight for the Republic. We bleed for the Republic. And we love within it. That is our truth." The chamber fell silent. Across the Republic, millions watched. Some cheered, some condemned, but all listened. Closing scene of Part 17. As the sun set over the Republic, Kale and Orion stood together, their regiments cheering behind them. The networks hailed them as heroes, their faces immortalized across the stars. And though the Republic was divided, Kale and Orion knew resistance would fade, acceptance would grow. Their love was stronger than tradition.